Notion just released their new AI agents. And they say whilst most AI like ChatGPT or Claude can help with your work, the Notion AI agent can actually do your work. Each agent acts as your own AI teammate that lives right inside of Notion, which knows everything about you and can be customized in the way it behaves and looks. The idea is that you can build a team of specialist agents that can do repetitive manual work for you. In your team, you might have a customer feedback aggregator that collects and analyzes data from multiple channels and turns them into reports. A weekly status generator that automatically compiles project updates from your databases and Slack. A project Kickstarter who actually creates tasks, assigns them to people, and starts the initial documentation. Or a meeting note transformer that converts your AI meeting notes into written proposals or emails. But are AI agents everything that Notion makes them out to be? Well, in this video, I want to show you how the agents work, some of my favorite use cases, and some things that are coming soon. So without further ado, let's dive in. So to kick things off, let me show you how Notion AI works. And as before, we can access Notion AI in a couple ways. So for example, I can come to the corner here and open up the chat. And I can also go to this dedicated Notion AI page. And on first glance, everything looks pretty similar as it was before. We can come inside this chat, ask Notion AI some questions, and it will give us an intelligent response. But now Notion AI can do a lot more than that. So a good way to show you this is probably with an example. Here in my private space, I have a onboarding checklist, and this is an example onboarding checklist that I might have roughly put together for a new hire that I'm about to onboard. Well, what I can now do is open up Notion AI, and inside this chat, I'm going to ask it to do some things. So I've just pasted in this prompt here, and I'll zoom into what it says. But what I've asked the AI to do is, first of all, add each of the numbered items in this page as a task inside of my task database. And I've actually mentioned my task database so it knows which one. I've asked it to assign the team items to me. And then I've also asked it to assign the new hire items to Rachel Thompson, who's a guest inside of my workspace. I've told it to give tasks a due date and that the task for me should be started and completed before Rachel's first day next Monday. And then Rachel's tasks should be completed within the next 90 days starting on next Monday. And then I've also asked it to add Rachel to our employees database. So here in my team space, I have our management team space, and I have this employees database, which basically is the projects that we use to manage employees for onboarding and ongoing development. And so I've asked AI to create to add Rachel to this database with the correct statuses and the correct assignees and dates. And then I've asked it to also relate these tasks to this new page that is just created. So if I go back over to the onboarding checklist, we can now see that it's referencing this onboarding checklist as well as the other pages I've mentioned as well. And I'll zoom out a little bit more before I go ahead and press enter and let Notion AI do its thing. So as you start to use Notion AI, you'll notice that it will show you what it's doing. Sometimes it will just say it's crafting, but here we can say it's now organizing task assignments, it's planning Rachel's tasks, and it will continue to tell you what it's doing. It's calculating due dates and assignments, and we can see as it continues to think. So now it's gone through its thought process, and I believe we can actually toggle down and see what it's been doing at each step. And now it's actually going to start doing the actions. So first of all, it has created Rachel Thompson, and that'll probably be inside the employee database. And again, now it's calculating due dates. It's now creating the actual pages themselves, and we can see each one that it's creating. And now it showed me, it's completed and it's showing me what it's done. So it's given me a brief overview of what it's done. But if we go over to employees, we can now see that Rachel Thompson has been added to our employee database with the status of to on board. It's also assigned Rachel as the employee here and me as the manager. Let's see if it's managed to, it's managed to give the correct start date, which is next Monday here. And then also it showed us on and offboarded by, so that's going to be from next Monday for the next 90 days. If I give this new database entry the database template, we should also see that it has created all of those tasks for us, with me as the assignee for the team tasks that we can see here. So it's got me as the assignee for all of those team tasks with due dates that start today and that are completed the Friday before next Monday. And then if we scroll down, we can now also see that it's given Rachel her tasks, and this is starting on next Monday, and it's finished within the 90-day period that we have asked for. So all of that has been done with Notion AI interacting with the databases themselves. The second thing Notion AI can now do is basically add personalization to it via instructions. So you'll notice my AI has a cute little hat on top of it, and that's because I came to personalize here, and I've given it a personality, and then I've also given it a set of instructions in this Chief Everything Officer SOP. And if I click through, you'll see we have all of the instructions here. I'll go over this in a bit more detail in the rest of the video for the use cases, but just to give you an overview, essentially what this does is it gives a sort of master prompt to Notion AI. And so whenever AI is working throughout the workspace, it's first using this as its go-to set of instructions. So in this particular one that I've called my Chief Everything Officer SOP, I've told it what its role is. And I've also explained that this page contains a set of responsibilities as subpages with detailed instructions. So for example, I have some detailed instructions on content repurposing, and every time that I want Notion AI to repurpose some of my content, it's going to reference that subpage and basically reference those instructions. So hopefully you can see now how Notion AI is able to actually do some work for you in terms of putting things into databases, giving due dates, assignees, and then also how you're able to create a master prompt or master set of instructions that Notion AI will reference when it's doing that work. So now let's go through some use cases, and I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite use cases that I've found so far. But I want to say at the top of this video that, of course, there is a whole range of use cases that you could use with Notion AI. These are just the ones I've enjoyed the most using, and the ones that are related to the top 3 sort of areas of business. So I have one for marketing, one for sales, and one for delivery. So let's start with the one for marketing. And again, I'm going to come to this personalize and jump into my Chief Everything Officer SOP, which also you can see is grouped or organized within my wiki database here, which is really nice that I can have these set of instructions alongside my other set of instructions for my other employees. Now I always have a set of instructions for my Notion AI employee. But what we're going to do is come to the first responsibility, and I can see that we have the content repurposing responsibility. And so what this set of instructions basically says is that you're going to be my content repurposing assistant. I'm going to basically ask it to take one of my YouTube videos, and from the script, the description, the summary, I want it to repurpose it into multiple different platform-specific content pieces. And I go over what the output format should be. I also tell it exactly what these content pieces are. So we're going to do 3 to 5 YouTube shorts, 3 to 5 TikTok and Instagram reels, 1 email newsletter, and then 1 to 2 LinkedIn posts, and 3 to 4 X and Twitter posts, as well as 1 blog post, and then 1 to 2 carousels. I've also given it some scheduling guidelines in terms of what needs to be done. So now that I have this already set up ahead of time, what I can do is go over to my content area, and I'm going to go over to my published videos. And out of all of the videos, I'm going to choose this one that I would like to republish, or repurpose, I should say. And so now I'm inside of this page. What I'm going to do is come to Notion AI, my Chief Everything Officer, and I'm just going to ask it, please repurpose this YouTube video. And then I'm also going to say, using the instructions in, and then I'm just going to mention the content repurposing subpage within that master set of instructions. And because all of those instructions live within that subpage, this is all I have to do in terms of my prompting. So I can hit enter, and then Notion AI is going to do its thing. Okay, and now in probably less than a minute, AI has finished, and again, it's summarized what it's done in terms of following the content repurposing SOP. We can also take a look at all the different entries that it's created, but hopefully within this page itself, I have this repurposing view, which is a view of the actual content database. And as you can see, it's already created these database entries with the correct channel and a suggested publish date, as well as giving it the status of up next, which was the status I asked it to give. So all of this has been created just from that one prompt, and it has been added to the content database and also related to this master sort of content piece that is repurposing everything from. So it's done that, which is amazing. But also what we can do, for example, is if we come into this particular idea, which is to create a TikTok, which is the title, 4 systems I use to double revenue. And if I open this up, we also have within the plan section some information about what this TikTok could be about or how we could create it. So some ideas for scripting, the actual beats itself, and then a call to action at the end. And we have this for each of the different pieces of content. So for example, the short is about the hiring funnel that stops bad hires, and it's given us a hook, a body, a CTA, and an overlay. So we have all of this information that's been created. If I go over to my actual content database, this is currently in my ideas view, which is exactly where it should be. And if I load more, I can see all of these here. And so now my job would be to go through these and basically pad them out, and then also set them to prep or to script or to record or whatever it is that I need to do. But the main thing is that this has been created based on that masterpiece of content over in this video over here. Now, clearly this is super powerful, and the fact that it's able to add this information into my content database is amazing. The only thing I would say is obviously that this isn't going to produce full length pieces of content for me. So as an example, this newsletter, when I come to the plan section, it hasn't written an entire newsletter for me. It's just given me the sort of outline or the main idea for the newsletter itself. I'm not sure if I was to ask it to repurpose less pieces of content, if it would actually write them in more detail. But that is one thing that to bear in mind. But of course, I would never want it to completely create that content and then just send it out. I'd always go in there and be editing it myself. So that's something for marketing. Now let's go over a use case for sales. And again, inside of our Chief Everything Officer SOP, I'm going to come down to the responsibilities. And another responsibility we have is proposal generation. So inside of this set of instructions, we're basically taking it to be our proposal writing assistant. And we're going to ask it to take any of our transcripts from a discovery call with a client, as well as our transcript from our VSL that we have shared with the client before the call, and using both of those pieces of information to create a proposal. Now that we have given it a recommended structure for the proposal itself, and then also at the bottom here, we have some pricing guidelines, some guidance on adapting the VSL for whatever, or adapting the core offer for whatever the client may actually need themselves. And then also some overall instructions in terms of that it should add this proposal to our deal docs database, the naming convention, and that it should relate it to the deal or the appropriate deal. So let's go ahead into our sales team space now, and let's go to our deals. And as you can see, we have one example deal here in the draft proposal stage for Acme Co. So within this entry, we can see we have some of the tasks that need to be completed, but we also have some discovery call notes from the discovery call. So if I open this up, we have inside of here a Notion AI block that we took as a recording during the actual call itself. And alongside a summary, we have a full transcript of that call and what was said. So now I'm going to open up our Chief Everything Officer, and I'm going to ask it to create a proposal following the instructions in, and then again, I'm going to mention our proposal generation subpage within our master instructions page, and then hit enter. Okay, so now that has completed with a summary of what it's done, but hopefully we can actually just go into the deal itself by coming through this relational link. And we should now see, alongside our updates and docs, with our DC call notes, we now have a new page called Acme Co proposal with the type added and me as the owner. And now if we open this up, we should see we have a proposal following our structure. It's given us an executive summary, a recommended solution, and then a scope of work. And then finally with some deliverables, pricing, and a timeline. And all of this has been created again by referencing the actual transcription of our call, as well as comparing that to what our usual offer is, and then basically deciding what the best proposal would be for this particular client. This is really powerful, I feel like, for creating proposals super quickly, but by actually using information inside of your Notion workspace already. A drawback with this particular one, again, as you can see, this isn't the most appealing layout or structure for a proposal. Again, I think if I work on this a bit more, I could probably get it into a structure that looks a bit prettier and easier to read. So it will be just about working with that set of instructions to make this structure a bit more appealing. But apart from that, a really powerful use case of this Notion AI. Okay, so we've seen something for marketing, we've seen something for sales. Now let's go over use case for delivery. As you can see here in the responsibilities, we've told it that it's going to be doing some client reporting. And I'm going to let another video of myself explain exactly how this works. Let's say you run a content agency and you want to grab the analytics from YouTube. I'm going to use my own YouTube as an example. And the first thing I did was took a screenshot of the main pages in the analytics. And I did it for both this month and then I toggled it over for July. So I did overview, content, and audience. When I had that, I then jumped into a new page inside of Notion and opened up Notion AI. And in the prompt, I said, create a monthly YouTube report for my client. It should have these sections. And I want my client to be able to see comparisons between July and August. I'm attaching screenshots from YouTube Analytics. Using the attach file feature, I then went into my files and grabbed the screenshots from YouTube Analytics and opened them up. With that, all I had to do was hit enter and let Notion AI do its thing as it went through the prompt. Starts to analyze all of the different screenshots. And as you can see, it's telling me that it's going to start creating the monthly report. And here it is happening on the side here. We can see it being made in real time. And with that, within less than a minute, it's created the monthly report for me. And it's also told me what it's done. So if we just minimize this for a second, we can see it's given it the overview section that we asked for. It's showing me the metrics from this month and last month and what the difference is in them. It's given me a channel growth section, a video performance breakdown of all of the different performing videos and how we did. And then what it's also done is it's created this key wins section and this recommendations for next month based on those analytics. So now all I have to do is check through this information, see if there's anything I want to remove or add. And then once I'm ready, I can hit share, publish this to the web, and then send this over to my client. As you can see, this cuts the time of creating reports in half and allows you just to take some simple screenshots and allow Notion AI to do all of the analysis. So right now, as we have already seen, Notion is allowing us to personalize our Notion AI and alongside it, give it a set of instructions that it is going to follow. With the custom Notion AI agents, they're going to take this even further and allow us basically to create multiple AI teammates or multiple agents with specific sets of instructions. And these can actually be set to be automated or scheduled to work on our behalf without us actually having to enter anything into a chat. So one of the examples Notion gave us is that you might have a knowledge base agent that is set to review all of your SOPs, your policies, your checklists, say on a monthly basis, and actually update that documentation for you based on how tasks are actually being completed within your workspace. Another example they gave us, and what I showed on this video, was creating client reports. But of course, I had to go into the chat and prompt the AI to do that for me. Well, they've spoken about how you might actually put this on a weekly schedule. And so for all of my client projects, I could have AI go inside and do some client reporting for me. So will you start using Notion's new AI agents? If you are, let me know how in the comments. If you're new to the world of AI and want a better idea of how to make it work for you, check out this next video where I show you how I trained AI to sound like me instead of, well, ChatGPT. I'll see you over there.